Hello. All right, that's good.
About halfway. Okay.
All right, I think
There we
any
go.
questions on the show notes? Yeah, I mean, Johnny, what you put there makes sense. That was kind of what I was planning on.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
just
That's perfect.
walking through football and
Fairly
then
straightforward. I don't think we
Don't
need.
break.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think we need added stuff for most of the games that actually happened.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, agreed. I may throw in like an NFL segment, if anything, just a
Sure.
brief conversation about our respective teams. But
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to give an update on the Steelers.
yeah.
Mm,
Hey, Johnny,
mine hasn't changed.
no, but you could be a different city in Ohio, so.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. I can do that.
All right, YouTube, hello. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for tuning in. All right, I'm gonna hit record, and I'm good
Let me
to
hit
go.
record.
All right.
Why
I'm
are
good.
you? Oh, there you are. I'm recording.
Sweet. Welcome to the show. Listeners, it's good to have you here as always. Look, we had October 12th on the calendar. I'm assuming you're tuning in. You're probably at least somewhat interested in college football. And if you are somewhat interested in college football, you had October 12th circled for a long time. And you know, sometimes when that happens, this grand week that we look at and we idolize in July doesn't come to fruition. Well, thankfully, for the most part, I'm here to report that October 12th did, in fact, live up to the hype. We had some great games. We're here to break it down. If you're new, you've got three moderately upset Buckeye fans, so we're probably going to lead with that. But before we get into everything from October 12th and get you into another jam-packed week of college football, Josh, how's it going, man? Welcome back. How's your week?
I spent my Saturday at a Pluckers
Oh,
trying to. I was like, hey, big games make me a little nervous. Maybe going to a public area where I can kind of go back and forth and not have to focus too much.
Oh, no way. No way. I'm the
They
opposite.
sat me. Like, I want to be able to like disassociate real quick in case things got
Sure.
bad. I didn't anticipate blowout, but I'm like, in case things go bad, I need to be able to disassociate. I was there for a friend's birthday party, and they sat us in front of the two biggest, loudest TVs they had. If you've never been to Pluckers, imagine a Roosters. Or if you're outside of Ohio, imagine a B-Dubs. Or if you're outside of those areas, move. Go to a
No,
better.
thank you for listening to the show because you're probably international. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Move to a place that has wings and sports. Like, you just need those. And so things go down. We had a great time. We left at halftime. That's just when the party ended. And then I had to go finish up some work things. I had to make a track for someone. I had to rechange chord charts for, boring office thing. You didn't come here for music talk. After I did my boring music talk, I'm like, well, okay. We just hit the 2-minute warning. Shoot me, NFL. Or NCAA. shoot me. Both of them shoot me. And honestly, then I saw the
NFL
last.
doesn't care. The
saw the
NCAA really
last-
cares.
I saw the 2-minute warning, and I'm like, you know what? I got 2 minutes left. I'm either gonna emotionally react to things now, or I'm gonna wake up super early, see the news, and deal with it then if anything happens. So I may as well just watch it out. So Sunday was good. Steelers did great.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have switched out Justin Fields as my normal starter, put him in front of Dak Prescott like 2 weeks ago, and that has been a solid move thus far.
Yeah. We'll talk about all of those teams actually. Steelers, Cowboys coming up. Johnny, what's up, man?
We're going to talk about that game plenty. Today, the day of our recording, probably not the day you're listening unless you're on YouTube, is Indigenous Peoples Day or Columbus Day, whichever.
But
if you're Les Miles, definitely go thank an Italian somewhere. Celebrate with them.
Mm-hmm.
Only the real ones get that inside joke. But that meant I had the day off, which was really nice. So went to Hocking Hills, got Archer, our mascot, on a hike, 7-miler. Beautiful day for it. The high today in Ohio, at least in our area, was 55.
I see you both wearing like
it's incredible
all day.
Oh, it's so nice.
It it was a day begging for a hike,
Mhm.
so I obliged.
And
I
we're
hear
like
you.
in full fall foliage, like the whole thing.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. It was 94 yesterday, but
Oh,
that's beautiful
gosh.
for you guys.
I'm so sorry, Josh. I don't know what you did to deserve that, but
I do.
I
He
think-
moved to Texas.
well, okay, fair enough.
I was told mild winters, not 85-degree winters.
Yeah.
I don't want pumpkin
It's
spice
fall,
anything.
Josh. It's
I
not
don't
winter
want-
yet.
I don't want apple cider. I don't want pumpkin spice because I'm not ready for it. And it's mid-October.
Because the weather. It's because of the weather.
It's because of the weather.
I like right now
Leaves-
I'm looking out
leaves
and
haven't
it's
changed.
starting to get dark. And again, if you're
I do
whenever
hate
you're
that.
listening to this, now that part's not great. But let me set the picture for you. If you're listening later or you're in Texas or somewhere, it's cloudy. It's a little overcast, which normally I don't like, but it's fall and it feels like fall. It's in the mid 50s. Right now, if I didn't have more interest in yelling about Ohio State, I would take a little bit of the spiced apple cider we have from Trader Joe's. I would take just a little bit of it. Maybe I'd even heat it up in the microwave. Sue me. And I would sit on the front porch and I could just exist as my Midwest self forever and just die there peacefully. Like that's where I'm at right now. Fall is fantastic.
It's true.
I could that would be the end and it'd be fine. And so
Josh, I didn't sweat at all during my hike. 7 miles.
Hate you.
It's just beautiful.
I haven't been able
yeah.
to hike since March.
It's great. Well, we were talking about other people in other countries. And I'm not trying to start the show this way. In fact, I'll make this very brief. But can we talk about the fact that we are committing an atrocity against England? It's an atrocity. You know what we're doing to them on Sunday? We are sending over the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh.
I mean,
Ooh.
that...
Hey,
I mean, Drake May looked okay.
Well, yeah. I
He
mean,
actually looked all right.
you know what they could have done?
That's an
There's
atrocity.
There's a way that England could have done this. They could have not cared about the tea.
They also they get this every year, I swear.
They do, yeah. Now,
Part
here's
of
the-
it's because Jacksonville is their adopted home team, and
True.
the
Yeah.
Jags are usually terrible.
Mhm.
So it's kind of sorry. Like,
And for some
This is
reason,
your
we
home
thought they
team.
were going to be okay. Maybe okay.
Mhm.
I don't know what their predictions were preseason, but I don't think we expected this.
not this bad.
Not this bad. Yeah.
No.
Patriots, yes. Jaguars, no. If you're England, I do have a solution. And this is going to take some time. I don't think we're going to be able to implement this by Sunday. But if you're England and you're tired of seeing these garbage games being played, I don't know if it's at Wembley Stadium. I'm just assuming every game in England is played in Wembley
It's there
Stadium.
at Tottenham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
England, make your own team. And then when the Patriots or the likes of the Patriots and Jaguars arrive, say, hey, surprise, we actually have a team. You guys can combine your rosters and we'll take you on. Now that's entertainment, folks.
Oh.
Because we don't need to see the Jaguars and Patriots play. Heck, give them both losses. They'll thank you because at this point they're playing for a draft pick. So they'll give you a handshake, say thank you for this loss. Let's actually play England. Are there any stakes other than just pride of America and of the UK? No, but that's all you need.
Is it bad? I would still cheer for the English in this situation.
No, it's not.
I
It's
like where you're
not
going
bad
with
at all.
this. We are going to right now. I know you said you didn't want to dwell on this.
Well, we can.
We have to now. What are you naming this newly created
Oh.
English NFL team? Where are you placing it?
Yeah.
So within the UK, within England specifically, are you placing it in London? If so, which is it? Borough? I'm trying to remember what the
No,
other region.
it's got to be a Shire, like the
a Shire. Yes,
the
thank you, thank you.
Nottinghamshire beans and toast or something dumb like that. Like it's got to be an
No.
absurdly long name of a real place with a Shire in it in England and
Ooh,
one of their
throw it in
horrible
Wales.
food choices.
I'm gonna send this to you guys on Discord. I'm gonna send you the place of a real town. It's in Wales. It's gonna go there.
Okay.
Is it a Shire though, or are we doing all the
Better. It's
consonants
better.
because it's Celtic?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's Welsh. How dare you, Johnny? It's Welsh.
Welsh is Celtic.
Welk.
Nope. Welk. Not for
pronounced
the purposes
Welk
of
now.
this joke.
Yeah. I will say this may not be the list that we want to choose from, but back in the day, a little too early for us to remember, there actually was there was an attempt at NFL Europa.
Yes.
So we have some teams to choose from. Now, in this list I'm looking at, there's some random American teams. I don't really know how they're on this list, but we had the Barcelona Dragons. We had the Frankfurt Galaxy. We had Berlin Thunder, the Amsterdam Admirals. Obviously, I'm venturing out of UK, but Cologne Centurions. So there's some options that have previously been done. I'm not sold on, frankly, any of them. And some of the worst uniforms you've ever seen coming
Stay
from
just
NFL
domestic in London, in England. I mean, like throw a team in Oxford, throw a team in a couple teams in London, throw Liverpool, spread them out, but not other countries. That's too difficult.
Yeah. I mean, some of the most interesting and mostly terrible football uniforms you've ever seen came from NFL Europe in the early 2000s. No, there's some diamonds in the rough here, but it's all pretty bad. Anyways,
try again.
Yeah. So there's your 10-minute intro on football in Europe. That was not planned on our show notes. Welcome into the podcast. We're really back in it. Let's talk about it. Again, forewarning, asterisk. You got 3 Buckeyes here.
I think Johnny just saw the thing I texted y'all.
This is like me trying to read some of the locations in Iceland this summer. It's just atrocious.
What I sent you, I can't
pronounce
pronounce
the lack of vowels. The lack of vowels hurts me.
It's a 58 character, 18 syllable name for a town.
What?
Legitimate. It's a legitimate name.
How many? Wait, say that again.
58 characters split into 18 syllables.
How is it 18 syllables? How is that possible? One word can be 18 syllables. That seems wrong.
So
do you have the, because I know there's someone that pronounces this, Josh. Do you have that audio?
Yes. I can send you that audio for a post.
And it's going right here. Thank you, editing Aaron.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, speaker. You did so well. I am so proud of you. And I know that your country is proud of you.
Yeah.
Your country has a beautiful flag. It's the best.
Yeah, that might be, it's not a great podcast topic. Might be a good YouTube topic. Just we rank flags.
Oh, I'd love to.
Obviously, we had the Olympics. We missed the window a little bit, but we can make something up. I mean, we have, I don't know what we'll make up for a reason to do that. Maybe we don't need one. As you can tell, we're procrastinating talking about the Buckeyes losing in Eugene. But we got to rip the Band-Aid off here a little bit, unfortunately. So the Ohio State loses. And now while we talked last week, and I think I might have even said I think Ohio State wins this game, I think if you talk to any reasonable Ohio State fan, they knew that there was a possibility that Oregon wins this game. And honestly, I was trying my best to set myself up for that possibility. And that, if Oregon beats us in that environment, which honestly right now, that's been the best environment in college football so far this year. Like, you kind of get it, right? But then as I'm watching this game unfold, I'm watching a pretty terrible Ohio State defense. I'm seeing what we thought was a first-round cornerback getting burned for 200 yards. And it was kind of a PTSD sort of thing with Ryan Day and how Ohio State has performed against top 5 teams in his career. He has the one win over Clemson in the college football playoff. And that's pretty much it. He has, I think, depending on what poll you looked at for that Notre Dame game, was it either last year or the year before, that's obviously a notable win under his belt. But for the most part, and it's not like Ohio State, like obviously Ohio State didn't get blown out. They had a chance to win it at the end. That's been the case for most of these games, not with Michigan, a couple of those games notwithstanding. Most of these have been within reach, which I think in a way makes it much more painful when you feel like over and over again with the kind of rosters Ohio State has had, you're right on the precipice of greatness, and yet another one slips away from your fingers. Bad play at the end. Everyone's debating the offensive pass interference. I'm not giving that much credit because Oregon clearly had an interception on the first drive of the game. So to me, those cancel out. It's not worth having that discussion, frankly. But I'll open it up to you guys because I found myself more frustrated than I thought I would be with an Ohio State loss. Just because of how poorly the defense played. And I've got some stats on that I'll share in a minute. But
what I saw, and I'll just kind of go eye test here. What I think I said this either 2 weeks ago or maybe even just last week. My concern was the opening schedule for Ohio State, by no fault of their own,
Mm-hmm.
was relatively light. Now we can't make Michigan State be good retroactive of 5 years ago, continuing on to this. Like, we just can't plan that type of stuff. That's okay. We're not like, you know, we're not faulting those types of conference games. So, or Iowa for, being in another type of transition, being okay, but like not being fantastic. We can't force those things. But what I mentioned is that teams like Texas have, at least again, according to the eye test, lots of confidence in their identity of who they are and what they do, and specifically how to improvise. We saw this when they benched Quinn Ewers, when they definitely needed to, but in a maybe different situation, may have pulled him in a game earlier for Arch Manning. And thankfully they had a lighter schedule too, but they flipped him in, next man up. This is what we love about the 2014 championship run. There was a next man up mentality. The team knew what they were. They had an identity. You had guys who had that confidence and almost that been there attitude. Last night, if you are a podcast listener, just insert the night, Saturday night.
Yep.
That night, what I saw, and it was in first quarter, somewhere in the second quarter maybe, I saw a team that got way, way overwhelmed with everything going on. There was confusion at the line. Howard was doing his best, but couldn't figure out how to like shout over commands. There was delay of game penalties. There was false starts. It was horrendous. And then you saw that again at the end. There's some reports coming out that I think are probably, I got to check the legitimacy of. Some people were saying that Oregon had planned to have an illegal or a too many men on the field penalty just because they knew they would draw some time. I don't know if that's true or not. I've not seen that. But
if they meant to do it, it's brilliant.
Oh my gosh, fantastic. I'll give you a standing O for that. Massive respect. But regardless, what you saw is you had an Ohio State team that was there. They had 2 more plays theoretically to get it, even after the PI. I'm like, okay, it sets them back, pets them a little bit up. Whether or not, like, you got a true freshman out there. He's going to make mistakes in big games. I wish it wasn't on the most important catch of that drive. Regardless of that, a good team or a team that had confidence in what they were doing would have been able to go, you know what, we got 2 more tries to get it downfield, with the knowledge of going, okay, we need to still play smart. Those last 2 plays were the opposite. That's stuff that I see from like what I saw in that last drive was a team that had it, and by their own fault, just couldn't finish it and did not know what to do when things didn't go according to their scripted plan. And that's not great. I talked about having this concern, a little bit ago, but unfortunately my fear got consoled. Like, yeah, Oregon's a great place to play. It is a fantastic environment, incredibly loud. There's ways around this. Other coaches have figured out ways to get their teams ready for these types of environments. It's not an unknown commodity to go into a loud place you've never been before. So that's it. Rant over. I am not surprised because I kind of saw this happening.
I mean, if you asked preseason Johnny, I had us losing this game.
Right. Yeah.
So like what Aaron kind of started out with, it's not the losing that I'm frustrated with here. It's how so. And I think that's what I don't even disagree with the AP poll only dropping Ohio State to number 4. I think there's a pretty clear drop off from what I've at least witnessed so far between Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas. Sorry, Penn State, you haven't even earned that yet either. You deserve to be ranked 3rd because they're rankings, but you have not proven that yet despite your great win. We'll talk about that later. The frustration, and this is what people think Ohio State fans are insane for this, for losing by 1 on the road against a clear top 3 opponent in the country. We've seen it before. That's the issue.
Yep.
That's the issue. And people are blaming Will Howard today. People are blaming Jeremiah Smith today. People are blaming the officiating today. No.
Yeah.
No. The coaches failed again. The coaching staff botched it again because they always do, and there's always an excuse. It's always, oh, the official with this call. Oh, this person got hurt. Well, if this player had made that play, if they just made that kick, Ohio State's the if school the last 20 years. And I know they've won a national title in 20 years. One, they should have 3 or 4 minimum.
Yep.
Minimum. And I think most rational people, even outside of Ohio State, would look at just the talent roster and say, yeah, how have you not won more than 1 in the last 20 years? It's absolutely maddening. And this game was another, let me stop being so general and be a little more specific with that. You're blaming Will Howard. He was 28 of 35, 326, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing. He was outstanding. He was everything I hoped he could be in that game. He was on time, on target, consistent. I know he screwed up a couple plays. What quarterback doesn't? He was excellent on the road in that environment. Also, I know Oregon's a brutal place to play. This is a senior-laden team who has played in Happy Valley at least once. Everyone on the roster. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. This isn't a freshman young team. This is a senior team, and the coaching staff should know better either. That's not an excuse. I'm not saying that didn't affect them at all. It clearly did. And credit to Oregon and their fans. Just that's not an excuse when that's what your roster and coaching staff is. Also, Aaron mentioned our friend Denzel Burke. I don't want to jump on him like the Twitter mob. Actually, I think the bigger issue here was pull him out of the game.
Yeah. Yep.
He doesn't have it tonight. That's okay. It happens. It happens to every athlete in every sport. There's times where, man, our starting pitcher just doesn't, it's not his night. Get him out of there. And unfortunately, sometimes that even happens in the playoffs. We've all seen it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, probably to our favorite teams at times. But
it kind of just happened to the Tigers. Like Scooble gets in, you get excited about game 5, grand slam, season over.
Yes.
And he was the AL Cy Young winner.
Absolutely. And if the manager had had a chance to, which I feel like he didn't really in that game, to pull him, he pulls him.
Yeah.
Because the manager doesn't just let it, well, he'll figure it out. No, he's going to screw you before you pull him out if you wait too long. Get him out of there. This is not an indictment on Denzel Burke's career. He had a terrible game. He was getting cooked like crazy against Oregon, specifically Evan Stewart, which hats off to him. He was phenomenal. Dude's a burner, but he was having a terrible night. He couldn't even tackle last night.
Yeah.
Get him out of the game. You have other corners to put in who are very talented. Put Jermaine Matthews in. People were screaming for him. Or bring Caleb Downs or Lathan Ransom over to help over the top. Stop putting them on islands. So this is where, and this isn't even they're college players. They're just kids. We can be critical of them. And he had a bad game. But what's worse and is what is coaching malpractice is to not change the scheme and to leave him in there, to not change the personnel and to not change the scheme.
Yep.
This isn't like they unleashed on him in the second half. It was the whole game. So what are you waiting for? It's maddening. And then the other part of it is, again, the offense was excellent. They had a few mistakes, happens on the road. I was incredibly disappointed in the defense. Couldn't have been more disappointed in the defense. The offense was fine.
Yep.
Road noise, road conditions. Yeah, they made some mistakes. That's going to happen. Even the one turnover. Credit to Oregon on the onside kick. That was
ridiculous.
That's a one in a million kick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But things like that happen on the road.
Oh, of course.
Even against bad teams, but of course against good teams. So the offense was fine. Yeah. The defense, no punts again in the fourth quarter. the last 3 games against Michigan, I believe, this game against Oregon, and I believe Missouri, if you count it, which I don't, because that game's weird.
Georgia in the playoffs.
No punts at all from this defense in the fourth quarter. That's ridiculous. These players do need to take personal ownership because that's insane. But also, change the scheme. Why does it take you until the third quarter to actually bring a blitz? They didn't bring a blitz until the third quarter. Dylan Gabriel's sitting back there picking the DBs apart. Of course the wide receivers are open. They're too talented, too good to not be. If Gabriel can just sit there and wait, he was fantastic, by the way, not trying to take away from him. But there's no pass rush either. No sacks at all. And this is an Oregon offensive line that was struggling against Idaho and Boise State to protect Dylan Gabriel. There's just, with the amount of talent here, yes, there's personal ownership from these players. It's not been good enough. But I place a far larger majority of the blame on the coaching staff because it's the same issue. And it's not just that they keep losing these games. They're losing them in the same ways. And that is maddening. If you lose them in different ways, there's fluky things happening, which there are in all of these games, kind of. But there's also a similar theme going through every one of these losses. And it's poor coaching decisions, poor clock management at the end, and lack of adjusting when things aren't going right on defense specifically. It's absolutely maddening. And that has me far more worried than losing to Oregon. It's not losing to Oregon. It's you're losing the same ways over and over and over again. And the coaches just, they keep making the same mistakes and it's driving everybody nuts.
Yeah, because I think we talked about this in the preseason. I fully expect Ohio State and Oregon to match up in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game. And even with how bad the defense was, I kind of expect Ohio State to win that game, partially just because it's. Anyways, it doesn't. I mean, who knows? That'll be a toss-up. It's in Indy. Ohio State. I mean, this is really getting into semantics. Technically, Ohio State might have more to play for. I don't really care about whatever. That will be hopefully another great game. You're absolutely right about the lack of defensive adjustment because on the other side, what I saw from Oregon was a huge departure from what they've done on offense because they've largely, and we talked about it last week, it was the reason why I originally predicted Ohio State to win was because they do a lot of, short passes at, by the boundary, let those talented wide receivers do their thing. I didn't think that was going to work against Ohio State. I thought they were too good. And Oregon, for the most part, didn't run a lot of that. They didn't need to because they were constantly taking the top off the Buckeye defense, which is not something Ohio State had given up a lot of. It's not something Oregon had done. So I give a lot of credit to Will Stein, offensive coordinator at Oregon. I thought their game plan was phenomenal. And you talk about missed opportunities. Obviously, the ones that Ohio State made are being more scrutinized because Ohio State was the team on the losing end. There's a world in which Oregon gets to 45 points pretty darn easily with some of the missed opportunities they had. You had a missed field goal. You had the weird blocked extra point. You had, I think, another turnover sprinkled in there as well.
I was surprised they didn't go for it at the end, at the 1. 4th and goal from the 1. That decision actually shocked me from Dan Lanning because I'm like, I don't know. You're at the 1. You have all 3 timeouts. I feel like you go for that normally. That's different than normal Dan Lanning too.
Yeah.
I feel like last year Dan Lanning goes for it.
And he did against Washington and it kind of bit him in the butt there, but it works in other situations. I mean, see Dan Campbell and the Lions for that. But anyways, yeah, so I'm with you guys. I think that's a pretty good summary of this game. Now, Oregon enters, and we'll talk about some other games here, but I do want to mention a game on Friday night because we're talking about Oregon. Oregon enters with that silly little number 2 in the AP poll, also in the 5th and goal poll to be released this week. Silly little number 2. You know who just delights in seeing a team come to West Lafayette, Indiana with a number 2 ranking? The Purdue spoiler makers, as Josh loves to talk to them.
A great position you have on the AP there, Oregon. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
It being on Friday night makes it even weirder.
Yeah.
Like Like, why is this one on Friday night? The only thing that would make it better is if it was somehow Halloween. But
here's the thing too,
like,
and this is when I can bring up the stat. Now that we've closed the Ohio State chapter. I do want to mention teams that in the Big Ten that travel 2+. We talked about this, are now what, 2-10?
Yeah.
Penn State won in overtime, so that's the
barely.
second win.
It counts. It
No,
counts.
it counts.
So
it's just
Oregon,
like, oh my gosh.
Please, I need to get. We'll talk about this later. I need to get Sabrina Carpenter and Oregon shirts immediately.
There you go. Yeah, we may have found a new sports curse.
Yeah, it would be fun if Purdue won that. All kidding aside, not a prayer.
No shot.
Oregon is a 27.5 point favorite. Maybe you want to bet the line there, but no way is Purdue winning that game. Not a chance.
If I was going to spend some Monopoly money, I would literally spend it on Oregon to cover the 27.5. Unfortunately, Purdue, very bad this year.
Very bad.
And the years where they spoiled, like what, Iowa and was it Penn State in the same season, whatever it was, or maybe it was Ohio State that year. I honestly can't remember, but that was like a decent team. You were talking about an 8-4-ish team, like flirting with winning the Big Ten West, as every Big Ten West team has done. That's the kind of Purdue we're talking about. We're talking
with
about
an offense with capability, and they'd throw 3 picks, but they'd also throw 4 touchdowns in a game.
Yep,
that's not the version of Purdue we're getting.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell, his stat line: 70 attempts, 600 yards, 4 picks, 5 touchdowns. Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Not anymore.
Yeah. No. Unfortunately, not.
Not impossible.
Not impossible. Now, one could argue that the magic of Indiana has been stolen, not by Notre Dame, but by the Indiana Hoosiers. 6-0, ranked. Big deal for the Hoosiers. Well done.
Hey, you know who else is ranked?
Army and Navy.
Our armed forces.
Yes. Both of them.
Not Air Force.
Together.
Well, yeah.
Quite bad.
Close enough. Close enough. I'm rounding up. Yep,
all of them.
First time ranked together, Army and Navy, since 1960, I believe.
That's incredible.
Congratulations. Very few of us have. You know what was happening in 1960? I should have pulled this up. Oh, sorry. I've not seen that movie.
Wait, Josh, you haven't seen Forrest Gump?
Yeah,
I haven't either, actually.
I set you guys up. This is something we can clip.
Guys.
I don't. Yeah.
Be cultured.
I know.
I was homeschooled. I wasn't allowed to watch Tom Hanks.
Johnny, in fairness, my version of culture is, instead of like a normal person would have a random Wednesday night and would be like, you know what, I should watch a movie. What's a good movie? Starts circling through the different streaming services, finds Forrest Gump, watches it, enjoys it. I'm like, oh, you know who's on tonight? Kent State, Northern Illinois, baby. Let's go.
Ooh,
so that's my excuse, at least.
And we've been doing that for 20+ years. So
yeah, I have. Where was I going with this?
I'm going through a set of movies. Like, I realize, we're going to talk about sport. We're going to get back to sports.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I'm not saying like convince me to watch Forrest Gump. It's on my list of movies that are like culturally significant. I want to go through so many others.
Josh, I actually think you'd like it. You specifically would like the movie.
Well, then I'll watch it later. I want to watch all the other. See, here's the thing. I want to watch Megalopolis. All right, because I have
no idea what that is.
It's insane. It's the new Francis Ford Coppola. He was the same guy who directed the Godfather trilogy. And
now I haven't seen The Godfather, so that's my movie that I probably have to watch. Oh, okay, you haven't watched it either.
I've heard 1 and 2 are good, and then I've heard the 3's bad. So I'm just gonna go boom. Easy money for me. But apparently, the new Megalopolis movie is like something that Francis Ford Coppola has had in development for 40+ years. And this guy has won. I mean, this guy,
dude's lazy.
Created what is arguably some of the greatest movies to ever hit cinema, like, period. And he couldn't get a group of investors for 40 years to invest in this movie. So I want to see just how insane it is. Apparently, rumor has it, it's not shown everywhere. First off, because people aren't liking it. But 2, it can't be shown everywhere because there is a scene in the movie where a person in the audience has to go up to a mic and have a conversation with Adam Driver in the middle.
Yeah, I'm not watching this movie. I'm one of these artsy things.
I'm gonna watch it 15 times.
Yeah, no, this is one of these art things that is trying to outthink the room.
You're gonna.
I'm not
sit
watching
there and
this.
tell me you wouldn't have the opportunity, if you had an opportunity to like read a line with Adam Driver and be technically in a movie,
I'd ask him if
I'm jumping to the front of that line.
I'd want to know more information about Star Wars. I didn't think I'd want to read the line with him.
So he has to.
Were you held at gunpoint
in the movie
with some of these plot holes? Like, were they forcing you to do that in episode 8 and 9?
I hate to tell you this. So he's not Adam Driver in the movie. He's like some insane name. Actually, I'm going to tell you what name he is.
I would still ask him anyway.
Yeah, Mr. Driver.
Mr. Driver, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
He's not Adam Driver. He is Caesar Catilina.
It doesn't matter.
Adam Driver. Doesn't matter.
Adam Driver. Kylo Ren, sir.
Mr. Ren.
Mr. Ren.
He's the chairman of the design authority in New Rome. Johnny, I know you like Rome. At least a little bit.
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't like New Rome.
You want to see New Rome? This is like, you ever heard of New Jersey?
Josh, do you think
New York?
You think New Jersey is better than just regular Jersey? I bet regular Jersey's awesome.
You know what? If you like England so much, go over there and make an NFL team. Go make them the.
I will. It'll be better than the Browns.
The Wilstonshire upon the river Redcoats.
Thames or whatever. It's got to be the incorrect name for the river based on its spelling.
Thames. No, it's Thames, but pronounced like an American who's reading that for the first time.
Thames.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because that's how it should be pronounced. Spell it differently if you want it said that way.
I realize that's an older Germanic spelling from something. I don't care. I don't care what runes. I don't care what runes you found that on.
I've got a great stat to get us back on track.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yes.
We need to desperately get back on
track. At Sicko's Committee, our beloved friends, Boise State's Ashton Jeanty has, and prepare yourselves for this. If you're driving, you might pull over. 1,248 rushing yards through week 7. There are 109 FBS teams with fewer rushing yards this season. For reference, there's 134 FBS teams. 109 of them have less yards than Ashton Jeanty, right now the Heisman favorite, and that's going to continue because he's absolutely ridiculous. We talked about it last week a little bit. That's our transition. Penn State. We do want to talk about that before we get into some really good games this week.
It's like it's those stats where it's like, hey, if Texas were to become its own country, it'd be the 8th largest economy in the world.
Right.
Like it beat out Canada and Russia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. That's basically what we're talking about here. I do want to talk about Penn State before we leave, and I know there's some other games too. We don't have time for everything other than Ole Miss. We were right about you being frauds. Penn State almost became their usual fraud self, if you want to call it that. Not that they're frauds, but they lose every, like when it's a big game, as bad as Ohio State's been in that category, the one team that's been worse has been Penn State and James Franklin. They really tried to, they did dig themselves quite the hole in Southern California. I almost said South Carolina. Same thing. But they found a way to get out of it. Now, you could throw in some ref complaints there on USC's side for some pass interferences at the end. Bottom line is USC, you had, again, every opportunity to win this game. That would have been a staple win for Lincoln Riley because right now, the fears of USC not being ready from a physicality standpoint in the Big Ten, those are coming true. Doesn't mean that's going to be the case for the next decade. It could if you don't make any changes, but we were worried about that this year. That's coming true. USC is 3-3, and with some good competition still ahead of them. So that's the reality in USC. The reality for Penn State is now you're a top 5 team with Ohio. You've got a chance to do some damage in Columbus. Penn State, this is your chance. You would have been a playoff team many years with this 12-team system. It's looking that way again. You survived. There's some issues still with Penn State, but you survived. You're undefeated. It's better to fix them when you're undefeated than fixing them when you're already a 1 or 2 loss team.
But Aaron, they're also now 1 win against Ohio State away from being the one who plays Oregon in the Big Ten title.
Yep.
Like they're an Ohio State win away. That USC game was the biggest tripping hazard for Penn State, really, on that schedule left. And I know USC's 3-3, and we are just bashing on them, rightfully so, by the way. They have the talent profile and ability of a top 25 team.
Yeah.
I know they're 3-3.
Yep.
And I know that we're saying like, wow, what a breakthrough win for Penn State. And you're like, USC's not ranked. I don't care. That's the type of game Penn State always loses under James Franklin. And also, Drew Aller, best game of his career. Best game. I don't care that there's 3 picks. One of them was at halftime, chuck it up, or end of the game. I can't remember. It was just a throw the ball in the air one. And that's the first time it's been, Drew, we need you to win the game. And the dude came through. Like him, Julian Fleming, Warren, their tight end, was unconscious in that game. He was insane. He had over like 200 yards receiving as a tight end. I mean, that was crazy. But Drew Aller, like converting on those 4th downs with Julian Fleming, like he was awesome. And if I was a Penn State fan, I'd be thrilled to have seen that, because that could be a launch pad for him to break through now for the rest of the season. Some wide receivers finally stepped up. Like, you need somebody besides Warren to help you out, but you lose that game every time the last 5 years, and you didn't. So awesome. Yes, and also Ole Miss is frauds, just like we knew.
Yeah, they are. And LSU, I mean, we're talking about USC being 3-3. LSU's lone loss is that week 1 loss to USC.
Yeah.
So good for LSU. I mean, with the chaos that we've seen in the SEC, with more to come, because either Georgia or Texas is losing this week because they play each other, either Alabama or Tennessee is losing, that door is getting a lot more open than perhaps it looked the way things were going at LSU. Real quick, here's the rest of Penn State's schedule. At Wisconsin, which is not this week, actually. It comes after a bye week, which might be perfect for Penn State to have that bye week between those two, because Wisconsin looked much better against Rutgers than they have against really any other team. That was a surprising blowout. Not to say that Wisconsin's this juggernaut in the Big Ten all of a sudden, but it's worth noting it's also going to be a 7:30 p.m. Eastern time kick at Camp Randall. That leads into this game against Ohio State. So you get the bye week before at Wisconsin, Ohio State. Then it's Washington, at Purdue, at Minnesota, Maryland. Like, not hard to go 4-0 in that stretch. So the next 2 games for Penn State, absolutely huge. You're right. You win the Ohio State game. Heck, you could afford to lose that Wisconsin game. Not that you want to, but that puts you in the Big Ten championship in almost every scenario. So that's fascinating with Penn State. Good time for a bye week, but way to survive. It's not always looked pretty, right? You beat UCLA 27-11 at home. Not super pretty. You beat Bowling Green by 7 points. Not super pretty. You beat Illinois by 21-7. Not super pretty. You know what? You're 6-0 and you're a top 5 team. What more can you really want if you're Penn State at this point? All right. Lots of good games coming up in week 8. We'll hit them here pretty quick. Nebraska, speaking of Big Ten, Nebraska goes to undefeated Indiana. Indiana ranks right now 16th in the AP poll. They are almost a touchdown favorite against the Cornhuskers. Now, I'm not trying to discount anything that Indiana has done to this point. But they have had one of the easier paths to the record that they have. So there's reason why they're 6-0. It's not just, but granted, Indiana's had this schedule and plenty of years in which they'd be like 3-4. This is a historic start to the season. Nebraska has not looked quite right since that Illinois loss. They beat Purdue in West Lafayette by almost 20 points. Struggled against Rutgers, but they had a bye week. It's at Indiana, at Ohio State the next 2 games for the Cornhuskers. Meanwhile, Indiana, they've put up some points. They have not had, other than the first week of the season, a game under 40 points. So that's going to be interesting to see. Curtis Rourke, transfer quarterback from Ohio, has been absolutely lighting up the stat sheet. But this is easily, far and away, the best game, the best opponent that Indiana has played. We'll see if they get it done. This is a fascinating Big Ten game. Who would have thought? Because everyone had Nebraska, Ohio State circled, right?
Oh, yeah.
Indiana, let's go. I hope they win. Nothing against Nebraska. This is homecoming for Indiana, by the way. So that's a fun little wrinkle. 6-0 Indiana off of a bye week hosting Nebraska. And let me just read off, because I have it here. Let me read off Indiana's schedule. Nebraska, Washington at home, at Michigan State, home against Michigan, at Ohio State, home against Purdue. I'm here to tell you that there is a 10-2 path here. Maybe not easily. There's a 10-2 path here. you go 10-2 as a Big Ten team, you're probably in the playoff. I'm not saying Indiana is going to do that. I'm not saying Indiana is a playoff team. I'm just saying that there's a path, and it does start with actually winning this game on Saturday. If they win this game on Saturday, they start the journey down that path.
Yeah. I think we're looking more 9-3 personally,
Probably.
because I think they lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they lose this game because Aaron, you listed up, like, their schedule's been crap.
Yeah.
Now, Indiana's looked really good in all of those games. And we mentioned everybody struggling in the Big Ten when they traveled 2 time zones or longer. And I know it was UCLA, but Indiana throttled them.
Yep. 42-13.
Easily. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Nebraska's defense is the strength, though. So, like, that's really the matchup of, like, I'm assuming Nebraska's defense is really going to be able to slow Indiana down. And then Dylan Raiola just needs to be able to make enough plays on offense to make it happen. I bet Nebraska, personally, I think Nebraska wins this game. I mean, their only loss was to Illinois, and they had several opportunities to win that game. It was a great game, though, more than it was like Nebraska blowing it. I know people were like, oh, Nebraska blew it again. I'm like, that was actually a really great game, more than it was Nebraska like, oh, man, they screwed up again. I still think Nebraska is more of that dark horse team. I think Indiana is a great story. I think they're capable of knocking off really, really good teams. I just think the undefeated season ends this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
And I'm fascinated in the road games with these ranked teams this week, because, you know, everybody's like, oh, man, like, we don't have the matchups that we had, like the depth of matchups, I guess I would say, that we had this last week. But you have Miami going to Louisville, 4-point favorite.
Yep.
You have Notre Dame going to Georgia Tech. That's an 11-point favorite. I think that's way too much. You have LSU, number 8, 3-point favorite at Arkansas. Arkansas already took out Tennessee at home.
Yep.
And number 17, Kansas State, now the Big 12 favorite, besides Iowa State, 3-point favorite in Morgantown against West Virginia. One of them is losing.
Which one? Josh, if you had to pick,
I was gonna say, I want Josh to pick.
Josh,
who's losing there?
Sorry, I was looking at the World Series playoffs, and I was debating just if I wanted the funniest option to win, because I can't win this, so I 100% zoned out.
No, you're fine. That's been the criteria. Like, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before, with all those big upsets, it was Minnesota at home over, USC. It was Arkansas at home over Tennessee. It's going on these conference road games. I don't see any way Georgia Tech doesn't cover the 11, by the way, against Notre Dame. I actually am perhaps even going to pick the Yellow Jackets to win that game straight up. That might be the one. But one thing that, if you've watched the college football season this year, these teams are all super flawed. The only team that we haven't seen with a major flaw yet is Texas. And you could argue that's because turns out Michigan's offense is nothing, and neither is Oklahoma's. So their 2 big tests that we expected out of Texas weren't. Because Oklahoma's offense might be worse than Michigan's, because they can't run the ball like Michigan, at least. But that changes this week against Georgia. So maybe we see the major flaw in Texas this week. That's what makes all these upsets very possible, though. Oregon almost lost to Idaho and Boise State. Like, Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee continue to struggle even after getting beat already. Alabama, I know Vandy's better than we expected. They lose to South Carolina. Those are 2 really bad losses. They're on life support for the playoff. Like, and who would have thought that you would think Alabama, a 2-loss SEC team, is like on life support? But those would be 2 of the worst losses, probably in comparison to who they'd be looked at in comparison to. And they survived. Georgia looked awful against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And Mississippi State, I know they've looked a little better, but they're terrible. They're the worst team in that conference by a mile. So I mean, I wouldn't be shocked by any of the ones happening. I already said, I think LSU finds a way. I bet that game's really close, but how do you not know what you're getting into with Arkansas if you're LSU?
Yeah.
You know, like there should be no surprises there. Arkansas already beat Tennessee. Also, they have a long history, those two teams. Miami keeps playing with fire, and Louisville's more than capable offensively, definitely, of beating them. Defensively, they're capable of beating them. I'm fascinated. I'm just trying to figure out where's the snake pit, and is it even one we didn't list? Probably. Somehow.
Yeah, we're I think we're in for a good week. Like, not only do you have, which we didn't even talk about, not only do you have heavyweight games like Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, you have all of those potential trap games. As always, there's going to be one there that doesn't even make this list that pops out of nowhere. We'll see where that looks like. Real quick before
Bama, Georgia.
Yeah.
Bama, Georgia. It makes no sense, but I'll take Bama, Georgia in the
Okay.
game.
All right.
Because this season makes no sense.
No, it does not. And it's beautiful. It's almost, with some of the teams we have ranked in the top 25, it's almost 2007-esque. We're not fully there, because we need like a team like South Florida to be number 2. We need, I don't know which team that is. Like, I don't know. We need someone to go on a generational run. We need
Boise.
Indiana.
Boise needs to get all the way up there.
Yes, they do.
Army and Navy got to keep going.
Yep.
Keep going.
We need an undefeated. Now, just hear me out on this. If Navy and Army go undefeated, their first meeting, not the one that's scheduled currently, their first meeting will be the conference championship game. Not the one they have scheduled. Yes, I said that correctly. Not the one that is scheduled for week 16 all by itself, or week 15, whatever it is. They would play in the conference championship. With, by the way, the home team would host. I don't know what the heck the tiebreakers are in that scenario if you have two undefeated teams. I have no idea. Maybe playoff rankings. Didn't plan for this. We'll ignore that. You have that. And then they would play their normal scheduled game. And you might be asking yourself, well, doesn't their conference season need to finish before the conference championship? It does. The Army-Navy game, they are both in the American Conference. It's a non-conference game. So you would have the conference championship, and then you would have regular Army-Navy. And heck, if they're both undefeated still, one of those teams is going to the playoff. And it would be the team, ironically, that wins the conference championship game. The Army-Navy game normally would only matter for seeding. You would just make sure if you're Army or Navy who wins this hypothetical conference championship, you actually have to probably win again to maybe keep Boise State out of your... It's absurd. Now, we are 2 months away from that. Lots can happen.
But we can hope.
But we can hope. Air Force has had runs like this that have ended in... literally last year, Air Force ranked in the top 25, undefeated. You're like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And then I think they went like 1-3 in November, which included like a blowout loss to Army.
Sad.
Army and Navy both play Notre Dame. That's probably more of like, gosh, Notre Dame, I'm so sorry. But they both play Notre Dame, so they both have a chance to like get that big win that could get... It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I don't feel bad for Notre Dame. They have Florida State on the schedule. They were expecting to get somebody. Florida State fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
This is what happens, I guess. And I'll say it now. If those two teams are unbeaten and they're playing each other in the American Conference title game, I'll travel to West Point or Annapolis to watch that game, because that sounds amazing.
Yeah. I am standing at parade rest for that entire game.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. You're right. I know this is probably our longest.
America the Beautiful and your grand old flag on repeat.
Yes, as it should be. Just screaming America for 4 hours. I realize this may be the longest episode we've ever done, so maybe we cut a segment short. But real quick, I do want to talk about, as I mess up everything on the YouTube stream and it all breaks, I do want to talk about briefly, let's see if I can get it working here. Come on, YouTube. There we go. I got my... Josh is working.
Oh, hey.
Johnny and I are somehow frozen on the YouTube stream, even though we're not...
Weird.
I accidentally clicked something I shouldn't have clicked on, and it broke everything.
I'm closer to the one server that
apparently. How is that happening?
I hate Aaron's baseball picks, but it's probably the correct ones.
Yeah, I'm just going for accuracy at this point, unfortunately. Let me do.
My picks are gonna be
Josh. No, that's what I want yours to be. I wanted that. I was gonna say yours were the picks I was hoping for. Mine's somewhere in between what I hope for and reality.
Either way is fine. I will say I don't, because at the very least, because it'd be really funny if the Dodgers spent like the GDP of a small country in order to not make it.
But they didn't, Josh. They pushed it down the road. They kicked the can down the road.
Exactly.
Didn't you know they're spending like only like the 12th highest payroll this year or something? Which is the most bull thing ever. They're like,
I hope they're still financially viable in 15 years, 12 years.
Yeah, they're like, we're not spending any money. Yeah,
I hope you have
they're paying
lot of money.
Ohtani nothing right now.
I hope your S&P 500 index is robust.
I'm almost back. Hang on.
Oh, baseball never changed with your weird salary rules. If there are any rules, really.
I understand.
All right, we're
we
back.
Complain. I'll save it.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll redo the second. All right, I realize this may be the longest episode we've ever done, so sorry about that. That's what happened.
Amen.
That was mid-October. It's what you get. Real quick, I do want to talk about our NFL teams, mostly because pretty significant victory by the Detroit Lions. Not just because it's my team, but like the Cowboys got absolutely obliterated. Stephen A. Smith went on a rant of great proportion today.
Amazing.
So, anyways,
on Jerry Jones' birthday, nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy birthday, Jerry. Sell the team.
Yeah. So,
or don't, because this is funnier.
Yeah. So great win by the Lions. Obviously, that injury to Aiden Hutchinson is horrible. You hope he can recover well. Like that was just honestly, like as a Lions fan, I should be running victory laps still the day after, and like that just understandably took the air out of the celebration. So I hope obviously all the best for him. Significant for the Lions, though, they're proving, now we'll see what they look like without him, but they're proving that they are one of the best teams in the NFL. The Steelers have proven that they made the right decision at quarterback. And by decision, I mean the fact that Russell Wilson was injured.
Ayo.
They were saved from themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a great... The Raiders are the Raiders. When Minshew got benched, at halftime or something like that, whatever it was, didn't matter. Fields was not fantastic on the throwing end. That is something that historically we've seen needs to be worked on. Hey, doesn't matter. He's still got his legs.
Mm-hmm.
And a marginally better O-line. So I'll take two touchdowns on the grounds.
Yeah.
Again, it's over the Raiders. This was expected, but
9-8, here you come.
9-8. Listen. I saw a ranking of there's this guy who does NFL power rankings, but a joke after every week. And this past week he finally put the new rank of on tier list. This is I'm doing such a good setup for this joke. He did the tier list of what the NFL power rankings look like, and at the rank of looks like every other Steelers team that has ever existed, he put the Steelers, and I am so... This is the exact type of 9-8. I want a dirty, messy, just embarrassment of a 9-8.
Oh, don't worry, you'll get it. You'll get exactly what you ordered.
I get guaranteed. We'll hopefully get guaranteed dubs for the Browns games, and then
no, you'll somehow lose one of those.
We'll lose one because it's.
I don't know how.
Tomlin forgot to put the starters in.
Or Watson will get hurt, so they'll be forced to not play him.
Yes. They'll that's when they'll try 3 quarterbacks.
3.
They're gonna do Wildcat.
Yeah, bring Mason Rudolph back from whichever team he's actually on. Which I think might be Miami. Anyways.
He's allowed to play for other teams?
Who knows?
We let that one slip. It was part of the drafting. We totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Johnny, I know your Bengals won on Sunday night. I mean, it staved off. It and one might be a relative
win
term.
who won that game?
You know what, guys?
Anyone who watched that game did not win.
Hey.
I mean, I will say the defense obviously miles better. So if you're a Bengals fan, that has to be your oh, okay, cool. The defense was at least way better, and you won. So the Bengals have found a different way to lose every single game. It looked like they were about to find a way to lose that game several times too, which would have just been the most annoying thing in the world. But honestly, I feel good because Kevin Stefanski after the game on Saturday said, Deshaun Watson, still my guy for next Sunday. And they're playing the Bengals. And that's all I needed to hear to feel real good about the Bengals' chances of beating the Browns this week. So we've talked about what's going on up there in Cleveland.
Yes, we have.
Our friends up there. So that I just can't believe that that's Kevin Stefanski's choice, because I think too highly of him as a coach. He's won Coach of the Year twice. He's gotten the Browns to the playoffs multiple times. He's won a playoff game for the Browns as a head coach. Not that he's some perfect head coach, but I don't know exactly who wanted Deshaun, but it definitely really feels like this is the Haslams. Just know you're playing him.
I see,
like it's gotta be, right?
It has to be. It's either that, where it's the Haslam, because I could totally see, knowing the history of Brown's management styles, I could totally see them overruling him. Or two, he'd never wanted Watson.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Even in play calling, it doesn't look like he won.
This feels very petty. I don't know him well enough. I don't know his style well enough to say, because this feels very petty. He could be like, hey, if I'm getting pressure to play him, screw it. I'm gonna use out every inch of his contract, and you're gonna see just how bad a decision this is. I can't imagine that's the case. That feels very short-sighted. But yeah, there's no way.
They're all gonna get fired for it.
Yeah,
they're all gonna get fired for it. They're wasting Myles Garrett, which is so sad.
Ugh.
Like, the Browns are wasting some of the best players they've had in the last 2 decades on this roster. Totally wasting them. But there's also, like, we said it. I don't know if we said it on the podcast or another time. This is worse than almost when the Bengals, the Browns were going like 2-14 every year.
Yeah.
Because you had hope. There's no hope. You can't get out of this contract. You are screwed. And you have to sit back and watch players like Myles Garrett go waste away. They're playing through injuries right now, and they're just going to waste away. And I think that's worse. I think that's so much worse than going into, maybe we could draft the guy next year. Maybe you could in the draft this year, but it won't matter. The rest of your roster is gutted because of what you're spending, like paying Watson.
Oh yeah, you're done. I mean, even when they went like what was it, 1-31? Like, it was kind of funny.
Yeah,
like
it was funny in a sad way.
Yeah, I don't think we celebrated it, but I saw a lot of people, because we went to dinner for something else. What did we go to dinner for?
No, it was for the Browns winning. We went to.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was.
It was the one win.
That's right. We went for the one win. So like, that was funny. That gave us something to do. Had to get some surf and turf at wherever we went, Longhorn or Texas Roadhouse. But yeah, this is like, you see a lot of it. The mismanagement is different here. The mismanagement feels so blatantly selfish and like just arrogant. Like, there's no hope that with the current ownership anything's going to change, because especially, like, again, we just said Stefanski is better than this, and there is no way.
Yeah, I just don't buy it.
There's no way. And so what we're seeing is a lot of people throttled from what could be, because we saw this with the White Sox owner, who's not going to change a darn thing because he's.
But that was incredible. 121 losses. History. We saw a historic season.
Honestly, make it 122. Like, the idea is that, they're not going to make any roster. They're going to work on development. We read their press release like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like, it's people who know that there's a dedicated fan base to this thing. They're going to do it no matter what, because this is who they are. This is how they grew up, and they're banking on that. Literally. Yeah. And it's frustrating.
Browns fans should stop going. They should stop. They
need to-
really
they
should
need to
stop.
pull-
They
need to
should
pull
really
an eight.
stop going.
There's no way that they're going to I'll do.
They can't.
Knock
The
wood
state
for
won't
luck.
let it happen. At
Right.
this
They're not going
point.
to Art Mendel themselves again. So that it's not going to, like, they can do it and they're not going to get AI'd. AFI'd, whatever the term is there. Like they're not gonna get moved. Don't go to the games, lose all the money. And like maybe in 5-10 years we can have this conversation in a different way of going, oh.
At least it's a quarterback you drafted that's
you need
terrible.
to force.
Mhm.
Yeah, we thought rock bottom was 1-31. This is rock bottom.
I think this is worse.
Yeah, this is worse.
Because now also people hate you.
True.
Oh, yeah, I was
No,
gonna say,
everybody
it's
felt
one
bad
thing.
for you before.
Yeah, it
Everybody was like, oh, Browns.
Browns,
Like,
oh, you.
I feel bad. Like they're losing, and I'm like, like I feel so
Now
bad for the
people-
fan base, and I still feel
Yeah.
bad for the fan
and
base.
Yes.
and thankfully the hatred.
I don't
is
feel bad
not-
for the management or ownership at all.
No.
And the hatred, again, I'm seeing it. Most of the hatred I've seen, at least online, so obviously very real life, is
Very
towards
real.
that management. It's not towards fans. It's not towards
Mhm.
players not named Deshaun Watson. Like, so hopefully, but again, at the same time, now the Browns are. There is no goodwill. There was at least some goodwill. You were saying there's nothing.
Gone.
Gone. Hey, by the way, just as a side note, you know where Rudolph is?
Isn't
You know
he in
who
Miami?
filled in for? He's at the Titans.
Oh, that's
he
right.
Played on Sunday.
That's right.
He got benched again because Levis is cleared.
Unfortunately for the Titans, Will Levis cleared to
Unfortunately for the
play.
Titans. Yeah. if you have him on your fantasy team,
Don't.
bench him.
Yeah, don't. Also,
No,
if you
Rudolph.
have
Bench Rudolph.
if you have him on your fantasy team, unless you're playing like a 32-man roster, straight to jail.
No, even then, even then,
Even in your meme one.
start
all right?
Spencer
Don't.
Rattler instead.
True.
Come on, man.
Yep.
Like there's better options.
Yep. All right, so this episode is running long, so we're going to
Way
do
long.
the world's fastest picks of the week. All right, here we go. Fastest picks of the week. Johnny's already clinched season 2. Boo, but congrats.
Stupid.
Baseball. We have not talked about the playoffs. The 4 teams left in the Major League Baseball playoffs are in the National League, Dodgers, Mets, in the American League, Cleveland, and the New York Yankees. I'm picking the boring option that I think is going to be correct. I'm rooting against it in both conferences, or in both leagues, I should say. I've got Dodgers over Yankees in 6.
Statistically, you're correct. That is looking at how they've worked, looking at how things have gone. Yeah. Dodgers, Yankees, that's what I would call if I wasn't already like a foregone second place.
Mm.
But sometimes it's not always about winning or losing. It's about the Mets, baby. Go Mets.
You and Grimace, huh, Josh?
Let's go.
Me and Grimace.
I'm going in
Mets
between.
over
of-
Yankees. I want an all New
Oh,
York.
Subway
I want
Series.
New York City. I want
Let's
New
go.
York City to sink into the Hudson.
Mm.
I
Oh
am
my
ready.
gosh.
I'm ready for that little island to just be gone with the weight of just all that Italian American energy. I am so ready for Mets over Yankees. Going to full 7
Oh.
games. No blowouts.
Josh, the
extra
TV
innings every single
networks would
game.
love that, so I can't cheer for it.
I get it.
Well,
I get
I
it.
mean,
I understand. I respect it.
there's 3 teams here that the TV networks are salivating over. So naturally, I'm cheering for the one team that's not to win the whole thing. But my pick will go somewhere in
versus
between
world.
what I hope for and what's reality. Dodgers over the Guardians. I hope the Guardians win the whole thing.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'd like to see the Mets there, honestly, too. But Dodgers have the best roster in baseball, best player in baseball. Dodgers.
It'd be
Yep.
so funny if they financed like their entire like livelihoods just to not make the playoffs again.
Mm.
I want.
Yeah.
I don't want. I know. Realistically, they're going to be in. The Mets have had their Cinderella moments. It's great. It most likely will not last for much longer. I believe they're already down 1 game by the time
Yes.
of this recording. Come on, Grimace.
They're
Come
about to
on,
tie the series.
every pizzeria named Jimmy's.
Yep. That's
and
what we're rooting for.
Sal's.
We're all for the Mets. That's the bottom line. By the way, Utah Hockey Club got the win on their first game of the season, so I think Josh and I got a point. Doesn't
Take
matter.
that.
Yes, you
Johnny
did.
is going to win picks of the week. All right, I'm looking at our show notes, and I'm happy to report that there's a lot of things that are back. There's just a lot of things that are back. I'll start. Backyard baseball is back. Now, I will say, I am one that loves this franchise so much that I have partaken in emulators that many, many good people have produced over the last few years. So as excited as I am for Backyard Baseball to like officially be back with like new ownership, I guess if you want to call it that, which phenomenal. I've been playing it. It's great. It's like, it's not like it's fully left for me, but I know for a lot of people it's back. Like people are playing Backyard Baseball, probably the best game ever created, for the first time in, a decade or longer. So it's great. If you are not aware, if you are on PC, it may be on other platforms. It's like $8 on the Steam store or whatever. So it's the OG, it's the 97. So there's no pros. It's just the original one that I, as a child, received in a Cheerios cereal box. The best gift ever. The best toy ever in a cereal box. Backyard Baseball. So I've been playing it. I've loved it. Obviously, I'm doing some damage with the Blue Bombers. So that's what's back for me. I've loved it. Pablo Sanchez is as elite as ever. The GOAT is hitting dingers for me, and it's great fun. Backyard Baseball is back. That same company that brought it back is bringing back basically every other game, and they have announced that they are making a new backyard game. So hats off. Get out of jail free card to that entire organization, to that entire company. Backyard Baseball is back. It's great. America wins.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. My bad. Guys, we are so back with celebrity curses. First off, fun piece of trivia. I'm going to give you 2 guesses. You only need one. Who was at the Astros game for their ejection from the playoffs?
Yeah, our good friend Ted Cruz. Good buddy.
Rafael Cruz.
Why does he keep going?
Why does he keep going? I'm surprised. I don't want to because I don't want to spoil the fun. I wonder. I can't imagine he was there at the Red River rivalry.
Why wouldn't you go to a shoe-in like that one where you knew Texas was going to win just to help yourself?
We have vines.
Go help yourself, man.
We have vines of him, like looking at pictures of him as like the Zodiac killer from back in the day.
He went to A&M Notre Dame though,
and
A&M lost.
And they've been fine. They've been great ever
they
since.
have not lost since.
They haven't lost. They've looked great.
We got a new curse coming up. That's right. The star of the Disney Channel original show, Girl Meets World, Boy Meets World 2, the sequel, Sabrina Carpenter. She also sings.
She also sings.
It's a wild thing to say about Sabrina Carpenter.
I'm not her demographic. She does fine music, but here's the thing. She's a fan of a lot of teams. These teams have not done great. And people are starting to wonder if the star singer of the hit song Espresso may not be the best person to root for teams. It all starts all the way back at the Euro Cup, because you know what shirt she was pictured wearing. See, I went deep.
Wow.
I went to a Vice article. That's how you know I'm ready for this. You know what team she was wearing a jersey of? A kit. It was England's, which was fighting for their first Euro Cup title in 60 odd years, 50 maybe.
They've never won it, Josh.
Or sorry, fighting for it, exactly.
They've never won it, which is the best. It's the best.
It's so good. So the one time they may have had about a month prior, Carpenter had worn that jersey, as shown on her, I believe it was Instagram. Then she decided that, you know what, maybe football isn't for me. Maybe I need to try something a little bit chillier. Maybe I'll try hockey. She shows up to a show wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey.
There it is.
Guaranteed to fail, though.
guaranteed to fail. Lost the home
Guaranteed.
opener.
That's true. That may be
They were-
independent of her, but
They were
fair
trying
point.
to, yeah. I mean, if they're matching how the Cowboys, if they are the NHL's Cowboys,
And they
it
are.
tracks.
They are. In
Then-
fairness, all of these teams are kind of the same so far.
A few days later, a fan posted, this would have been, doesn't matter what day, because it was definitely before this playoff game. Carpenter is from Pennsylvania. That's a fun little trivia fact. She was wearing a Phillies jersey when the Phillies entered in against New York. Man, didn't do well. There was jokes because this Phillies one was very recent. There were jokes I saw of like, oh, please, Sabrina, I will send you a Cowboys jersey. Well, she got a Cowboys jersey. She was spotted in Cowboys merch like Friday or Saturday. And we just talked about didn't do so great.
Yeah.
Now what team do you need her to wear a shirt of right now?
I was going to say, other than the Phillies,
jersey,
these are perennial chokers. Other than the Phillies,
True.
So the Phillies is honestly the best criteria out of them.
Yes,
I need her to wear. What are you saying? Who do I want her to wear to prove that it's a curse, or who do I want
not
to
just
lose
like
right now?
just like because she is. Yeah. So yeah, I want
the
both.
Chiefs.
Like,
get her a Patrick Mahomes jersey.
Here's the thing: the Chiefs are
get her that
winning.
jersey.
The Chiefs are still winning in like the worst ways.
I know. Get her that jersey.
I wonder if it's not definitive. I want to do something to showcase her power. We need something to establish her.
She could give it to the Yankees, like wear Yankees or Dodgers.
I'm kind of wanting to manifest the Yankees one. Yankees or Dodgers.
Somebody the Blue Jackets are playing in a regular season hockey game would suffice for me too. Just anyone.
Yeah.
Given they beat the Avalanche the other night, I shouldn't.
It's a lot more promising. Sub what we're following. They're not as embarrassing as they have been.
Yeah, I mean, and they competed really, really well against Minnesota in the first game.
You're right. That was more in jest, but
maybe when the Crew get to inevitably the MLS Cup.
Yes.
Wearing a Crew jersey?
No. Whoever they're playing. No.
Well, but the Crew always win in the finals.
Well, that's true. You're right. That also doesn't break the curse.
She could wear a Messi jersey.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Let's see. If she's done all the major. Okay, so she's done Premier, or she's done Euro Cup. She's done soccer. She's done NHL. She's done MLB. She's done NFL. She might need to do college basketball.
But there's not
one NBA team would be really funny.
I don't think there's
the Clippers would be objectively hilarious. It doesn't help the curse,
so funny.
But that would be hilarious.
Why do we do that?
I don't know. I don't even hate the Clippers. I hope they do well. I love their new arena. I love the new uniforms. The owner's wild, hilarious. Like, I don't hate the Clippers, but them being the butt of the joke will forever be funny. Couldn't tell you why.
Oh,
they've not won
Clippers.
anything.
Or alternatively, not NFL, but maybe college football. Do we need to put them onto a college football?
There's not a juggernaut this year, though. I just don't feel like there is.
Well, and also it's not like I hate. It's not like I hate Texas. Like I don't. It's not like I'm. Also, one loss doesn't do anything. It would be an Alabama jersey just to solidify.
Right, but it's not. Alabama's not the same this year.
Exactly. So it wouldn't be hard. Yeah. This week, Oregon
against Purdue.
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
But
does that prove the curse? Because that's just Purdue.
Because it's Purdue. That's just Purdue. Yeah. I go back to Kansas City.
I think Kansas City might be a good litmus test just to see that or Dodgers.
If she wears a Patrick Mahomes jersey and the refs call a critical penalty on the Chiefs at the end of the game that costs them the game, I'll believe in the curse. Yeah. If they lose specifically in that way where the officiating actually hurts the Chiefs at the end, I believe.
Josh, I'm with you on the Dodgers.
I will personally pay for the jersey at that point.
Very nice.
Because I hate them. So,
Josh, I'll vote in favor of her wearing a Dodgers jersey because that actually might prove something. Because I mean, the Dodgers have won a World, and now they've imploded somewhat in the playoffs too. But that would mean something. So, I'll take that.
I think.
Don't worry. I'm gonna.
I
follow
think
for the
guards
next week or
beating the
two.
Yankees are funnier though. That'd be funnier.
Yes.
Oh,
People would be
absolutely.
mocking the Yankees way more than they'd mock the Dodgers. I
Yes.
think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
100%. Because heck, the Yankees.
All right. What I am following is Aaron said everything's back. You know what's back? It's our old friends that many of us have forgotten about, that we haven't always treated or talked about properly and given it its proper, its proper place in our lives. What I'm talking about is Chili's and Applebee's. Chili's and Applebee's are back, everybody. We have talked on this podcast about how awful it is and how overpriced fast food has gotten.
True.
You know what's the exact same price as fast food basically now? Going to lunch at Applebee's or Chili's. And it's way better food. Let me give you some examples.
Ooh.
Chili's has the 3 for me. What does that mean? You can get a smash burger. You can get a chicken bacon ranch quesadilla, a 6-ounce sirloin, chicken crispers, like chicken sandwiches. Like you can get a bunch of better food. It comes with the drink. It comes with the side. It comes with the main. And I think you get chips and salsa with it too.
Yes.
Or you could get cheesecake instead. It is so much better. You're going to be spending like the 3 for me also $10. It's $10.99
all day.
It's $10.99. That's cheaper than a box combo at Cane's. And you can get it to go at Chili's. You don't even have to pay the tip. Or you could sit down, pay the tip. It's going to be a much better experience, much better food than any fast food. Applebee's is in on this too. They got the 2 for $20. So you got to take a friend with you, I guess, hypothetically, or you just eat 2 yourself.
Hey,
but you gotta it's
date?
2 entrees and a full appetizer. Yeah. It's 2 for 20, 2 entrees, full size appetizer. It says dine in, delivery, or to go again. Once again, McDonald's is like $10 when you go to McDonald's now. Go to Applebee's and Chili's, my friends. They're back. It's better food, better options. You could get a sirloin. I know it's 6 ounces.
Sirloin.
You're spending $10. It's a great deal.
Yeah. Is it from a bag? Yeah, it is. Yes. Embrace it. It's a great
It's better
bag.
for you. It's better food in general. Go there. Go to Chili's. Go to Applebee's.
Thank you. That's our call to action. Go to a Chili's on Friday night. Go to Chili's or Applebee's on Friday night and watch the game.
Yeah.
They got TVs.
We've talked bad about them for too long. They're back.
Thank you so much.
And by we mean everyone else. We've never badmouthed those establishments.
I love Chili's.
We go get haps all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's pretty much a perfect way to end. Not only do we have a great thing that's back, we have a great action statement. We have a great week of college football. We've got MLB playoffs. The NHL is here. The NBA starts next week. Sports Equinox actually this month, coming up in like 2 weeks, I think. So that doesn't happen all that often. So prepare yourself accordingly. Make some plans so you can cancel them. Midweek MAC coming back soon. We already have Midweek Conference USA. I mean, we're having a good time. We are having a good time. If you ignore Saturday night, we're having a good time. So, listeners, thanks for being here. Thanks for putting up with this episode. We always appreciate you tuning in. Wherever you may be at in the world, whether that's a Europe team that desperately needs a random NFL team, or if you're like us in the Ohio area rooting for the Buckeyes, wherever you are tuning in, we appreciate you. We appreciate your support. Check us out on social media if you haven't already. We've got some fun content that's there. More stuff coming out this week. A video coming out that talks about the longest game in each of the major 4 professional sports. Pretty interesting stuff. So that's available on our social media channels. So there's our plug at the end for all of you. Thanks, listeners. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next week.
Get Sabrina Carpenter a Golden Knights jersey. Okay, bye.